Your heavenly mandate in herbal medicine. This discussion is a reference point to future videos when I start to discuss complex disease presentations and disease names because it's something that has been misunderstood and it's very important for a medical doctor and herbalists to understand. Because life and death are connected to your heavenly contract. It is what you are meant to experience and fulfill in this lifetime. And this heavenly contract is said to reside in your heart, which gives rise to certain thoughts and actions. Because any deviation from this contract will result in a non-predetermined, unnatural death. So when one deviates from their path, it is the role of a medical doctor to correct this deviation and straighten it again. Because when there's an obstructed disease toxin, so if one has an undisciplined life, a disease toxin can arise. So for example, if someone simply eats the wrong foods over an extended period of time and it causes responsive fullness in the upper epigastrium, and then when you get this fullness, it puts pressure back up onto the heart and it causes vexation, agitation, insomnia. So it will lead to certain thoughts and actions that will deviate one from their path. When somebody has chronic fatigue syndrome, so say there's a dormant disease toxin which is caused from a virus where the body was unable to create a fever and resolve it, it will lead you to become tired and depressed and unable to actually do or manifest something. And the role of a medical doctor is to identify this obstruction, resolve it, restore order. This is what the role of a medical doctor is and how to correct this deviation. Because now I feel, just like in the Han Dynasty, there was a sage, a medical sage called Zanzongjing, where he stated that now people only compete for glory and status, standing on their tiptoes, devoting themselves only to fame and fortune. That when a medical doctor does this, they deviate from what their path is, and their attention is no longer on discipline or mastery in the art of medicine. Instead, it is more focused on themselves. And when I had a group of researchers in China and Japan, so we searched for these old ancient medical texts that had never been translated before, and there was a paragraph that actually described this special hell for physicians that take advantage of their patients. And not only is it something of the afterlife, but they discuss something in this life where that physician will also manifest some chronic illness or disease which causes them pain and suffering. That physician or medical doctor must be held accountable, because if you are prescribing incorrect herbs with poor theories or supplements or even medical prescriptions, if there's no systematic evidence-based approach, then you are using theories and assumptions to give people toxic herbal medicines. And any illness or death or mistreatment that comes from that treatment, then you are accountable for that presentation. And if that person were to die, then you are accountable for that death, because this is what they term a non-determined, unnatural death. So it is not the destiny of that person to die or pass away from a mistreatment. It is actually, you are held accountable as the physician because you have actually deviated them from their path further. And this is why the ancient formula structures are so important, because using these structures, you can use a systematic evidence-based approach. So you're not using theories and assumptions. You are gathering evidence to identify a disease toxin to restore natural function, because when these formulas are prescribed, it will cause a detoxification reaction and then eliminate the disease toxin to restore natural function and order. And that's why these formulas are so important, because there's only a limited number of ways the body can become obstructed, and there is no need to modify these formula prescriptions, because that is why this is how they were actually intended to be used. And when a death follows, when you successfully follow these ancient formula prescriptions outlined by the ancient medical doctors, these deaths are considered predestined. So it is part of what that person was meant to experience and go through. And this is what separates a natural death and a non-natural death. In an ancient medical book, it described that a superior medical doctor should be able to effectively treat 9 out of 10 disease presentations. And we're not talking about simple colds and flus and headaches. We're talking about complex disease names and disease presentations. And if you can effectively prescribe these herbs, you should be able to correctly treat 90 out of 100 people. Because if you see a patient that you consider too difficult, it is only when they seek somebody else with more skill and understanding that actually can make this case look simple. There was a question put to Tadayoshi Maso about the treatment of paralysis, and herbal medicine was unable to help. And Tadeusz Maso simply stated that your understanding the art of medicine is inferior, because when you work earnestly and hard towards the art of medicine, that is only when you are considered and measured complete. The sole responsibility of a medical doctor, a herbalist, is to alleviate pain and suffering, identify a disease toxin, restore natural function, restore natural order, clear the mind of any irregular thoughts or habits. And this is what is considered the highest form of herbal medicine. You should never concede and walk away. You should always apply yourself and work hard and push yourself towards mastering the art of medicine, because removing obstructed disease toxins and restoring one's destiny or fate is considered the highest form of medicine.